welcome to KISS.
Keep it simple, sister.
Hi, Diana.
Hi, Samantha, who also goes by Sam. Hi, Sam.
And Di, who goes by Lady Di. Welcome, everybody, to our podcast. This is all about feeling great by feeling better. So it's all about these little incremental changes that you make into your life. You notice I always have to use my hands. It's
I
called
like
these
that though about
incremental
you.
changes. And you incorporate these changes into your life to make to make it easier to have more resilience, to have just a better, more joyful, happy life. So these are all the tips, tricks, and techniques that Diana and I have come across separately over the years and realized, oh my God, you do that? I do that too. That sort of a thing. Or Diana has taught me a couple of things that I didn't know before,
S-
and vice versa.
Yes, vice versa for sure.
I think I'm explaining more to you um, the mechanisms behind why it works, and you've
And
just
I
been
just
doing it.
tell you some things that I do that work for me, especially phrases. I share a lot of phrases with you,
Yeah.
and I've picked a lot of them up from Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks,
Mhm.
but also different just things that I've said to myself before I ever knew anything about the law of attraction.
Mhm. Yeah. You just naturally just gravitated towards it.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so what are we doing about the flip side today? Do you want to
Okay, so
introduce that?
normally the flip side is where Samantha and I both share something that's a little bit difficult or contrasty and how we find something good about it or something positive. But our whole comment today, our whole positive path today, not comment, topic
We're just
is about
commenting
contrast, which is how we start out the flip side always. So we're just going to skip the flip
today.
and move right into the positive path.
Just move right into okay. So the positive path today is all about struggle and contrast, which sounds like really deep, heavy topics. But once we explain like I was saying before, the mechanisms, once you understand the purpose behind why we have struggle and contrast, then it's easier to get on board and see how struggle and contrast are actually your partners to growth and feel more positive towards them.
Yeah, so they're happening for us, not to us.
Yes, you're
And
not
so
there.
there's no victim mode. You don't need to get into victim mode because even though it doesn't seem like it's a positive thing, it maybe seems like a struggle of some sort, the struggle bus.
Mhm.
We can get off the struggle bus and and wave at our friends.
Okay, so the way that I tend to explain it to clients, and I'm going to give the woo-woo version, but
Okay.
I'm going to first address the more immediate thing, how I explain it.
Okay.
Um, that that struggle and contrast. Okay, so first off, um, we talk about struggle as being like, um, this is bad. I don't like this. This feels bad. It makes me feel bad. This is hurtful. This is painful. And we redefine that, or I redefine that, and now Diana's jumped on board. Maybe you were doing it before. I've referred to it as contrast because it's doesn't have an element of its own as good or bad, because every situation is neutral. You assign the value, the meaning to it. So you decide whether it's a positive thing or a negative thing. So that right there frees you up to look at any negative situation, any contrasty situation, as something that's could be beneficial for your purposes of growth.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Well, and what I've learned from Sam is that we came here to grow.
Hmm.
That's why we're all in this physical reality thing that we think of as life, but really we chose that we wanted these experiences to help us grow.
Yes. Because there's still, so that you understand, there's still growth on the other side. When we leave our bodies, our energy continues. And so when we are outside of this three-dimensional experience, we're still experiencing. there's still growth, learning, there's still expansion.
Uh-huh.
It's just not to the degree that it is here because of this dimension of time and space where we feel like there's a lack of permanence. There's only so much time. There's all these constraints put on us,
Yeah.
which intensifies the whole experience. We feel like when we die, that's it, we're done. And so you've only got this lifetime. And so it makes everything more immediate and intense. And on top of it, we have the physicality of our bodies, which create these hormones, the chemical processes in our body, which then takes the emotion of happy or sad or upset or anxious and intensifies that even more.
Well, one of the things that I learned was that um stress, and I learned it as eustress and distress. Eustress is the good kind of stress and distress is the bad kind of stress. And I maybe in a psychology class in college or something, that's where I learned those SAT words, eustress and distress.
I
Um,
like that.
but one thing I learned recently, I don't know if it was from you or if I read something somewhere,
Mhm.
is that let me see if I get it right. Excitement and anxiety are the same emotion. So your body reacts to being excited the same way as being anxious.
Mhm.
So if you think of it as something that is anxiety inducing, that becomes a negative to you. And if you think of it as something exciting and exhilarating, that becomes a positive to you. So that physical reaction
Mhm.
is exactly the same for both of those things, which is kind of crazy. But if you think about when you were the most excited about something, how did you react? And then do you think about when something really bummed you out, how did you react? So it's a
Well, so excitement is expansive. You
yes,
feel freedom, you feel this sense of wonder or, outside of yourself, whereas anxiety feels contracted. And
yes,
anxiety comes from fear, false evidence appearing real. So you're projecting into a future that is riddled with things that you don't want to experience. And
right.
that's what creates the anxiety is that fear that you're going to experience that which you most don't want to experience.
Yes. But we know that we create our own reality, which was very difficult for me to wrap my brain
Yeah,
around.
why the hell would I do this?
Yeah, what? Why would I do this to myself?
Mhm.
But you need to have that experience. You want to have that experience. And also for the juxtaposition, the comparison, so that the eustress stuff jumps out at you. If you experience the distress,
Mhm.
then you recognize the eustress. If you experience the contrast,
Mhm.
then you recognize and appreciate the joy, the elation, the wonder, all of those things that you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you think about the dark night of the soul. Like so many people have experienced the dark night of the soul, you know, points in their life where they were like it just grinds you into nothingness. And from, the ashes, the phoenix rises kind of thing. We're
Yeah.
talking about the extremes. Um, Divorce, very painful experiences. Um,
Loss of a loved one.
yeah, and other horrendous things we won't talk about here,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
these dark, dark experiences we have. And yet, if you have embraced that aspect of what's occurred, you tend to look back at these experiences as, well, I wouldn't be that same person. I am stronger. Like I used to say, after I went through my divorce, I would tell people that we women who have been through divorces, we have like an extra badge, that we wear on our arm that just says, I did it. I am a warrior woman, because um, we faced that, which, and I'm talking about like extreme situations, being married
Yeah.
to a narcissist, someone who is abusive and that kind of a thing. That, and it's not to put any woman down who's still in that situation or afraid to leave, but it's to say that when you go through that situation and you finally disengage and move on with your life, it's like food tastes better, the air smells sweeter, like it's such a refined experience. And you experience that even from, like, if you have an illness. Like, if you never
Right.
had an illness, you wouldn't understand the appreciation of being able to drink cold, clear water that just is like so amazing that you can drink it down without your throat being sore, you know?
Right. Right. Exactly.
So
Well, and I think, people that have had a near death experience or I don't know if we talked about my hairy tooth tumor,
yeah,
I
we did.
think.
Yeah.
Um and no, would I ever want to have a hairy tooth tumor and attached to my heart and lung and have to go through open heart surgery to remove it and be scared that I was going to die and all of those things? No, 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 no,
Why did
no,
you
no.
choose that, Diana? Like, what the
I don't know. But it made me the person that I am today. And it made me appreciate things so much more and make decisions in a different way
Mhm.
because
Yep,
it made me appreciate my life and the people that were in my life.
exactly. Well, and you think about, okay, so situations that you've gone through in relationships, like, say, with friends, and, really challenging experiences you've had. I mean, we know as women, um, we can have some really catty circles of friends, real,
Bitches.
yeah, it's, and, you go through experiences like
I don't even la 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 when I cuss anymore. Sorry. La la la, bitches.
it's, but you go through these experiences and, it's great because you learn. It's a mirror. I don't like this. I don't value this. I don't want to be this. Even when it's painful, because as women, we develop very intense, intimate relationships where we're sharing our souls, where, we're confiding
Yeah.
in we're confiding information that we wouldn't share with anyone else, and yet we're confiding with this person who then turns around and they could just totally out us. And a lot of women do that to each other, where
Yeah.
they totally out them and share all of these secrets and stuff. But it teaches us, as painful as it is, it teaches us, I don't want to be that kind of a person. I want to
Right.
be, even more honest and more clear and more trustworthy and more, blah, 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 blah. So you take even those kinds of experiences, and you can either make them turn you bitter, bitchy,
Right.
and
Right.
worse, or you go, okay, what did I learn from that? And how can I now reinvent myself as something that is even a better version of myself than before?
Yes. Moving forward, what can I, how can I take that experience to help me have a better experience moving
And
forward or to recognize this type of person or to recognize, the whole narcissist thing
Mhm.
I saw through my younger daughter had an experience with a boyfriend that was like that. And I kept trying to say, he's not good for you. This situation's not good for you, whatever. But when you're in the middle of it, it's
Mm.
very difficult to see. But now she'll point it out. She sees it in other people's relationships where she didn't see it in her own, but
Yes.
she is not available for that anymore and will never fall prey to a narcissist again. Now, sometimes it takes a few narcissists to get over that.
It took me a
Um,
few rounds myself, and each time I got better and better at recognizing it. And even then, life will throw it back at you just to
uh,
see if you really learned your lesson. If you're it, because with narcissists, I think it has to do with how our own self-worth. It makes us like evaluate our own self-worth,
right.
because that's what they prey on is, I know more than you do. I know better than you do. It's a manipulative kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so, y- you
You're
know,
nothing. No one will love you. No one, you're not as smart as I am. You're lucky to have me, that kind of thing.
And in one
And
sense,
then you buy into it.
well, I was going to say, just when you said that, in one sense, you are lucky that you have them because they're teaching you that you don't value yourself. What are you going to do about it? When are you going to start placing, some value, importance on yourself and stepping up and being literally selfish, I always say with integrity, and start living your life. It's just
Well,
so
and the word
there's a
self
positive there.
yeah, and the word selfish really comes from somebody who is accusing you of not giving them what they want. They're calling you selfish, but
Good.
it's self-preservation, self-love, um I can't
When
even
it's
think.
done with integrity, that's I always throw that
Yeah,
word in just because it's that levels you up into that space of do unto others as you would have it done unto you kind of thing.
yeah,
The
yeah.
whole golden rule. Love that. Um, so going back to what Diana was saying originally was, I explained to my clients, yeah, when we come into this lifetime, we're here to experience. We're not There are some people that are coming into this lifetime to enhance humanity, to elevate us up a little bit more. But all of us come in with the idea. So some people have, very specific missions.
Yeah,
The, but the majority are coming in to simply experience, and from the experience you grow. And so, yeah, you'll choose some of the craziest, I want to be married to a narcissist. I want to have a friend that's a narcissist. I want to be in a car wreck. I want to lose a leg. Whatever the deal is, we choose these things so that we can challenge ourselves, get a better understanding of who we
yeah.
are. Because if everything was good, life would be very vanilla and very boring,
Boring.
and
Yeah,
there's no room for growth. It's all very even. So you have to have these challenging experiences for there to be this contrast between what was good and what's not good, so that you can then have that space to measure yourself and go, well, what is it I'd prefer?
yeah.
Yeah, so it's not sitting there. I mean, like, yes, in the moment you're just going, fuck. You're just like, why is this happening to me?
And all of us have had those what the fuck
Yeah, I don't
moments.
deserve
I'm
this, or
and
they don't deserve this.
yeah, I remember when I had my hairy tooth tumor, I thought to myself, I'm always nice to old people. I open the door for them. I let people out in traffic in front of me. Why is this happening to me? I'm a good person. I'm a nice person. Why?
But
But now
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, but now looking back on that, I'm glad it happened. I
Mhm.
mean, at the time, I couldn't see that. But everything that I learned about the people around me and myself through that experience has enhanced my life exponentially.
I love that. Well, and so, there's one thing I was thinking about, like somebody would look at you and say, well, Diana's a good person. She doesn't deserve that. But when we talk about deserving, we're talking about some external force that's making a decision on your self-worth. Like, if you've got someone close to you in your family who's suffering from, breast cancer or, you know, bone cancer, something severe like that, everybody's, and especially if it's a child, everyone will say, well, they don't deserve that. They're a good person. They don't deserve that. And that's implying that there's some external force that has condemned this person to that, where I know it's hard, and, when you're in the middle of it, you need to rage. You need to be pissed about it. That's how you
Yeah.
get through. But you can also stop and look at it like, you know, what's the lesson here? Why I chose this for my life? What is the lesson that I want to learn? Because we are creator beings. We create all of our reality. And, like I think it's Abraham Hicks and many other, of the great thinkers, channelers, and so forth, they say we could heal ourselves in a second because it's all just energy. We're made up of energy, everything's energy. But we are in this physical experience. We've got to go along with the laws of physics, which dictate that, no, we can't just do this rapid change. We have to agree to this slowing down process, the aspect of time, and that you have this condition or this situation or that person has it because they've put it on themselves for the learning experience.
Yeah.
So you
Well, and we all
understand.
know someone, you call it a miracle or whatever.
Mhm.
We all know someone who has healed themselves,
Yeah.
or found the right physician or the right medicine or the right procedure or whatever it is,
Mhm.
um, because that was their plan.
Well, and
And
isn't
then we know people that don't,
yeah, and that was their plan.
and that was their plan. And they may have agreed with someone else in their life that they would play that role so that that other person could learn the things that they need to know or
Mhm.
have the experience for their growth somehow.
And that's always a tough one when somebody comes to me. So if you don't, if somebody's watching this, they don't know I'm an intuitive, a medium. I do psychic work and stuff. So when someone comes to me asking about a loved one who's committed suicide, and they want to know why this happened, and you know, generally I get in touch with the person to ask them why. But
Uh-huh.
just on the surface level of things, there's lots of different reasons why, because it could be that the person agreed to do it for the benefit of themselves. And then other people around them go, "Well, I want to know what that's like to be a survivor of someone who has decided to do that." You
Yeah.
know? Um, so it's your chosen exit point. But there is also the aspect of, things have gotten too challenging. Life has kind of gone off the rails here. Like, even though, like, that's where people worry about, well, I have no freedom, everything's preordained for me, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, yes, you plan all of these major, I say milestones, you plan all of those out. But then once you're here, you have loads of wiggle room. You can go right towards it, you can go around it. And some people just go, this is too intense. I can't do this. And I say they opt out. That's
Uh-huh.
like how I like to put suicide, it's they opt out.
Uh-huh.
And so maybe that wasn't quite planned, but souls speak to souls. They know I'm going to do this. I can't handle this. And yet the intensity of, we only have this lifetime. We're only here right now. That's what makes it so intense and bittersweet, and what makes us make the most of each moment. Because if you
Uh-huh.
knew, well, hell, I'm going to see you on the other side, then you would act as, we all know the stories of the immortals, how they tend to be very flippant about things and careless of human lives and stuff like that. The gods or whatever, because they know that it keeps going on. So if
Yeah.
we really adopted that attitude, we would be a lot less careful in this existence.
But I feel like that rel organized religions
Mhm.
have made us all have that fear
Of
of, maybe I won't see them on the other side. Maybe there isn't another side. Maybe there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to be
Um,
good. You have to do what we say, or
Follow
you
the
won't have
rules,
this.
follow the whatever. Yeah, and all of that was because somebody decided they wanted to be in charge long ago and then
It's
kept
a good
on.
manipulation tool, and it worked.
Yeah.
So
And I'm not saying that organized religion is a bad thing because, we talk about miracles and so many people think they've prayed to God and got this miracle,
mhm.
but really their belief that it was possible is how they were the creator being and created that situation.
Mhm, allowed for it to alter, to change.
Yeah.
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 Well, and so you think about this, all of that is like, it's all really heavy, the experiences we go through, and, trying to understand the meaning of life, and, like, it can get all really heavy and serious. And yet, if you consider the concept of, okay, we create these situations, we're doing it for beneficial purpose, to experience and grow, then all of a sudden it shifts. I mean, it still sucks in the moment, but it shifts the perspective of what you're experiencing to make it lighter. It does, some of the heavier stuff is still heavy, but say you get into where, because we got into some major things. We're talking about like death and suicide,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
But just you're driving down the road and your tire like goes flat. And so you have to pull over. That right there can ruin a person's day. But
Yeah.
and they're like, "Why'd this happen to me? Oh my God, God hates me," Like people
Yeah.
say that stuff and they just like they use it as an excuse to then be an absolute ass the rest of the day. Or look at me, I'm the victim, and they got to tell everybody the story with like when I tell stories like that, I'm usually saying it because of the entertainment value.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
funny thing happened. But a lot of people do it like the woe is me and I'm a victim and I'm owed free drinks or, a woe is me night and, whatever it is. So there's a lot of people use these situations a lot. But if you stop and just go, well, isn't this interesting? That this is so much more mature to do this. Sorry. Like, I know it's hard to do, but to go, well, isn't that interesting that this happened? What is the purpose? I wonder what will come of this. Because the thing is, you don't know if that flat tire prevented you from being at an intersection where you would have been slammed by, a dump truck.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
you have no idea the mechanisms of the universe that are occurring behind the scenes, which is why I guess it's very Buddhist to get into that frame of mind of this is happening for, a beneficial reason. I simply don't know what it is, but I'm in acceptance of it to be the
Well, and it makes you feel better along the way. Like getting into eh, how did you describe it? Yeah, to getting into that middle ground, that
going into neutral, the wonder and
neutral,
curiosity of it.
yeah, helps you tip it back up
Mhm.
instead of letting it keep on going down.
Well, okay, so I've mentioned before on the podcast about when I slipped and fell in the shower and,
Uh-huh.
ended up breaking open my skin on my leg. And I mean, I say it like that. It was actually really serious and quite the gash and had to go to the emergency room. But, once I got over the hyperventilation that I was, I was doing, I moved into this space of joy and laughter, which is kind of weird to say. No, I wasn't manic, but
Yeah.
I got into the space of curiosity. Well, isn't this interesting? This happened. And now look, I'm going to this place that I kept saying if I ever hurt myself, I'm going to go to. Now I'm
Yeah.
going there. Now I get to know what this experience is like. Is it going to be a good experience or a bad experience? Well, it turned out to be a delightful experience, which is really weird to say when you have 8 stitches,
Right. And you've gone
And
to the
yet,
emergency room
yeah. And yet
and got your tetanus shot and all of that.
But by being in the wonder of it, like, I wonder how this is gonna turn out. I'm curious about this, It it made what I mean, yes, I had a little PTSD for the next probably year. Like, whenever I
Yeah.
got in the shower, because I didn't forget the feeling of it, I learned the
Right.
lesson from it, don't have a sudsy shower and try to step out.
Yeah.
Um, so there were some after effects, but I wasn't a victim from it. And I saw the delight in the moment of not the delight, um, but the wonder and curiosity, the humor of just, well, I've always said I wanted to go here. Now I'm going here, that it's that
Isn't
sort of
it
a thing.
interesting how this worked out?
Yeah. So it's not sitting there going, gee, bring on more pain or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's not, well, I guess it is making light of a bad situation, but I mean, okay, so when my daughter was going through some of the worst stuff she was going through, she went through a really rough time with her childhood. And there's a point at which gallows humor was the only humor we could contain. Like it it was so dark and people would look at us like, what the hell? But
Yeah.
it was a way to find a sense of lightness within a very heavy, dark situation.
Right.
And you know, I don't know that we certainly weren't and I wasn't in the space of curiosity like, well, what are we going to learn from this? No, it
Yeah.
was very dark and, very, very heavy. And I didn't know if I would wake up the next day and find her dead or alive. It was challenging.
Yeah.
But by having that sense of not being victimized by it, by the wonder, I mean, yes, I was very angry at the person who had really created the situation,
Mhm.
had but again, in all of that, I know it wasn't with like a sense of, gee, golly gee, but I do remember that's probably when I first adopted that sense of, I understand that this person agreed to play this heinous role in
Yeah.
order for this experience to occur so that we could grow and learn from it. That's when I learned to adopt that, because I remember writing him, um, this individual, a letter forgiving him, of acknowledging the role he was playing and forgiving him, you know, of the role he was playing, saying I wasn't going to forget and it didn't lessen the pain we were going through,
Uh-huh.
but that from it something beautiful would arise. And I'm
Right.
sure that when he received that letter and opened it up, he thought, this woman has gone round the bend.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
It was a what the fuck moment for
yeah,
him. Like, wow, how did
but
this happen?
it was, we forgive those for ourselves, to release ourselves from the situation.
Right.
And when you realize everyone's playing these roles, we've all chosen this stuff, we take on responsibility for it, then it's easier to release yourself from entanglements that would otherwise bring you to your knees. And I
Yeah.
know it didn't happen overnight. It took me years and lots of monkey chatter in my brain.
Yeah.
Um, but I at least acknowledged the concept and was able to operate from that point. That
That's
makes sense.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a pretty dark space.
All right, let's lighten it up.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and I think that that's something that you and I have in common is that we use humor
Mhm.
to lighten the mood. Um, and that allows us to go to the elation, not the anxiety,
Exactly.
or at least get closer
Mhm.
to, because it's a survival technique, or it has been for both of us.
Yes.
It helped us through situations that, you know, were very uncomfortable.
And it's not a matter of being flippant or ignoring, because I never ignored it. I don't think you ever ignored it, but
Yeah.
you can focus on this, which just keeps you in the energy of it, or you can turn your attention to more pleasant things, because
Yeah.
there are more pleasant things. You can find something pleasant. Like, you can be having the darkest day. And even if even if there's not a blue sky, you can still look up and go, look at the beauty of the clouds.
Yeah.
There's
It's
always
all
something.
perception.
Mhm.
And you have to make a decision to let your perception go north instead of south.
Mhm.
Well,
Exactly.
not that south is a bad thing,
I was
but like,
I was going to say, wait a second,
I
just
don't
say
even know where
it.
that came from. But
But to a higher vibrational space, for
yes,
sure. And then I go back to, you can't solve the problem by being in the energy of the problem. You can't
right.
pull yourself out of this deep dark space you're in. And maybe this is a really good thing that we're talking about this at the beginning of the new year, because so many people, like, they have high hopes, but they're going to get disappointed with themselves right away. They're going to say it's the same old thing, nothing's changed. And of course, with all of the politics and everything going on, it's like you could sit there and focus on all of that and just spin yourself going negative, or you can go, wow, this is a gorgeous day. You
Yeah,
know,
I'm not available for all of that, but
yeah.
I am available to see a cute bunny, to get, to get on TikTok and see the babies laughing or whatever.
Oh my God, I love that. Well, yeah, and you can always turn to TikTok or Reels, and find something that'll lift you up. But you know
Yeah.
what the thing is, happiness is a choice. It's and but we are, as beings of the greater, like, a lot of people do acknowledge there's a connection. We're all connected.
Uh-huh.
And that, we come from this higher loving space. It is our predisposition to be lighter, to be that's why like when we are in that kind of dark upset space or whatever, we're out of alignment with our higher self. We're out of alignment with that higher, more wonderful state of being. So we're predisposed to choosing happiness. But some people, so I guess if you're not being happy, look at it and say, what is it? I'm feeling this because I choose to believe. I'm feeling unhappy or incapable of happiness because I choose to believe that the other shoe's always going to drop. Whatever it
Right.
is for you, and look at it and go,
But
what?
wait a minute.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah. And is that true? Can I think of an instance where that didn't happen? Okay. Well, then that's not true.
Uh huh. And move yourself out of that place because that's
Yeah.
just that's a no fun place to be in. And you're not going to get anywhere as long as you see yourself as the victim.
Well, and I think, we talk about the tips and tricks and whatever.
Technique,
If what?
techniques, tips,
Yes.
tricks, and we love
Um,
alliteration.
One thing that I do, and I think you do the same or similar,
Mm.
is it's the people that you surround yourself with. Because if you go to the negative, if you go hang out with negative people, you're going to feel negative because that's what the discussion is.
Mhm.
So if are feeling kind of down in the dumps, don't call a negative person, call a positive person. And hopefully, they'll help you get more into their energy. And, they always say the five people that you surround yourself with is the level of your emotions, is the level of your
Happiness.
performance, habits. Yeah, all of that. So choose the positive people. Choose the uplifting, not the people that bring you down. And that has worked for me over the years, over and over and over again.
Mhm, and if you find that the people who are positive are kinda sloughing you off, pay attention to your words, because if you choose to be around the positive people and you keep just like as my sister says, whinging, you keep it's British term, but if you keep whinging about, that you're a victim, positive people, they'll only put up with that stuff for so long.
Right.
So, you've choose to be around positive people, lift yourself up, pay attention to the words you're using, how you're perceiving yourself. Because positive people, they don't feel like they're victims.
Well, and if you feel like using the victim words or the victim,
Mentality.
yeah, just be quiet for a little while and let the goodness and light fill in the conversation, fill up the room.
Oh, that's a good point.
Just be quiet and soak it in, which is not, I mean, I'm a teacher and I'm a talker. That's not always easy for me to do, but especially if I'm kind of feeling down in the dumps a little bit,
Hmm.
I want to take on someone else's positive energy. I want them to help bring me up instead of someone to bring me down.
Well, and that's where if you go and you listen to like a Reels or a TikTok, if someone's expressing negativity, like, all you have to do is go boom, 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 and get to something that's positive that makes you laugh.
Yeah,
The thing is, it might not be super funny, but just to get you into a better feeling
just a
space.
little bit better, little
Uh-huh.
bit better. Incremental changes is what we always talk about. You don't have to go from here to here, go from here to here, and then from
Mhm.
here to here. And that's okay. I mean, yes, maybe you could go and, get a birthday cake and sing happy birthday to yourself or, whatever it is that gives
I've
you
done that.
pleasure and joy. But just thinking about that will give you some pleasure and joy too. So think about, that would be the incremental step.
I used to do, when I was getting really down and stuff, I would surprise Tessa. This is when I was a, single mom, and we would have unbirthday parties. I would pick her up from school in the afternoon, and I'd just say from daycare, and I'd say, "Is it your unbirthday today?" And she'd look at me and she'd be like, "It is my unbirthday today." And I'm like, "Well, we need to get an unbirthday cake and go celebrate."
I love that.
You know?
I'm doing it tomorrow.
Oh, it was oh my god, I've had lots of unbirthday cakes. Um, and I mean, we were doing that like, we got the idea from Alice in Wonderland, which we watched
Very,
over and
very
over again.
happy birthday to you.
Uh-huh.
To
And
you.
and so we would have them. It had to be like, every other week. We were doing it because it brought such joy to us.
And then it becomes a habit.
Yep. Yep. If things are negative, I'm gonna boost myself up. Of course, also with that came with things are not going great. I'm gonna have, sweets.
Cake.
So yeah,
Let me cake.
there are some associations you need to work through with that. But for the most part, like it was such a positive experience that ramped us up.
Yeah.
Again, I think you and I just we are especially as Aries, like we're especially predisposed to being kid-like, finding the fun, and not everybody has the luxury of that being their kind of go-to. But
But
that's
then
why
go find somebody that it is their
Mhm.
go-to.
Find an Aries friend. No,
Or a goofy friend, even if they're not Aries.
yeah, someone who is not going to commiserate with you. Like when Diana and I talk to each other, we validate what the other person is saying. That's not the same thing as commiserating is where you sit there and go, yeah, the world's bad and I agree and it's awful and this
And
sucks,
you think about Eeyore.
Yeah. No, you want to find someone who is going to validate that your day sucks and that you're having a bad experience, you're tired, blue, or you just got a bad diagnosis, whatever it is, they validate it. And then they say, let's go have an unbirthday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Happy unbirthday.
What can we do to make this feel a little bit better?
Yes. So, with all of that being said, let's share what the weekly wanderlust is going to be.
Okay, good.
Yeah. This is going to be as simple or as intense as you want it to be. But what we want you to do, and I've written it down to remember exactly, how we were saying it, and we might adjust this as we say it.
Yeah.
But we want you to look back on the most painful, just pick out a painful moment in your life, just
Yeah,
cherry
it could
pick.
be the most painful, or it could be the most recent painful, or it could be the most
Just don't
distant
your
painful. Just a painful something,
yeah, just
something
don't
that
put your
was
darkest
not
moment.
fun.
So pick that painful moment, that negative, contrasty moment in your life. So we want you to recall that and get in touch, not with what happened, but how you felt. How did it make you feel? And or how did you feel about that at the time? And then recognize how you feel it now. Like or actually before you recognize how you feel about it now, look at how that situation, at least cite three things that were beneficial out of that situation. Like what is it you
What did it change, either in you or about you?
Mhm. And
That's the way I look at it.
yeah, and you could say, well, it made me be a more cautious person, like that's a negative, but it's not. It made you become a more cautious person, which maybe you really needed to be for the next stage of your life.
Yeah.
So cite at least, three benefits out of it and check in with yourself after acknowledging those benefits, now how you look back at that situation. Because it's not like I look back and go, well, now it's wonderful, but it's that you look back with gratitude.
Right.
Because if that hadn't occurred, you would not be the person you are today.
Or you might not have met the person that you met, or you might not be in the area where you are. You might not have the job you have. You might not have, all each thing in your life leads to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing.
Hmm.
And so for me, if I had not had the hair tooth tumor, then I might not appreciate my husband as much as I do. Because he, kicked in and took care of the kids and took care of me and took care of everything. And from that point on, our relationship just got stronger and stronger and stronger.
Well, and I'm sure he did it with a sense of humor too, like
Yes. Yeah, that's who he is.
irreverent, yeah, an irreverent sense of humor, which had he had he gotten down where you were and, been like, "Oh my god, I don't wanna lose you. This is gonna be bad." And, instead, from being listening to y'all and he would have been irreverent and
Oh,
just
for sure.
kicked you up out of, your woes.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't having it. And so that's
That's
a good
awesome.
kind of husband to have.
And that kind
For
of
me, at least. Maybe some people might want a woe is me husband. I don't know, but that's never worked for me.
no, no, that would be in direct contrast. That would be exhausting.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so that is gonna be the weekly wanderlust.
Yes.
And so everyone knows we present all of this on our vlogcast podcast. It'll be a podcast as soon as I get it over into Spotify and all those other places. So I guess it's technically a vlogcast right now. Um,
I've been
down,
calling it a podcast. I've been telling people I'm a podcaster.
just say you're a podcaster. It's
Well,
some
that's
people
all.
say
I'm not going to say I'm a vlogger because that's hard to say.
no, it's just like
Not
it's
happening.
a lot of commitment. Throat commitment. So anyway, you can go to our the links are down below. You can join our Facebook group, the Kiss Podcast Facebook group, and share your experiences there. You can also see the links down below that takes you to our blog, and so we're blogcasters. Um, and so you can go to our blog and you'll find that, there's an article that kind of sums all this up in a much more succinct way. And that's also where you find this weekly wanderlust so that you can read about how to do the integration and then come back over to the Facebook group. We would love for you to share how it went. And also anything else we've talked about within this particular podcast, any links, anything like that, they'll all be listed below. So it's all there.
Yeah, and what we would really love is for you to ask questions, add into the conversation,
Mhm.
and maybe even make suggestions of what comes next. Because that's what we try to do.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a podcast about that in the middle of it. We say that all the time.
Yeah.
But if
Well, 'cause
you
we're
think of a
sharing.
good podcast, share with us.
Yeah. I mean, all of it is what we most want to share with y'all, but we don't know necessarily what you really want to hear, what you need the most. And even if we have several things scheduled, we'll turn around and discuss yours
Oh,
if
for sure.
that's really important to you.
For sure. Okay. So are we going to do a sweary affirmation?
Yeah, let's do a sweary affirmation.
Okay.
We can jump into a sweary affirmation. We've been missing out on these a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. We like to end it up on a little swearing.
Amen.
Now,
I was about to say, God damn it. No. La la la. Okay. Okay. Do one thing every day that makes you feel fucking fabulous.
yes. And if someone asks, how are you? Answer fabulous. And this will be their face. What? And
Right?
then they'll smile and laugh.
Expression.
Yes.
I'm fabulous.
And I am fabulous. And if I'm not, I'm going to be in a minute.
Well, what I was saying, and I need to do that a lot more because when you say that, like it's just it injects fun, and the people are just like, wait, like it's just this blast of positive energy. And I'm always feeling out people's energy and stuff. And so I tend to just go, yeah, I'm doing really well, and they're surprised you didn't say
Fabulous.
that. But that's like playing it safe.
Well, it's fun because it shocks people. It's
Oh my
really fun. And they expect you to say, "Oh, I'm good. Oh, it's a bad day." And then I always try and spread the word. I'm like, just try, if I don't know if I'm fabulous right now, but I'm going to tell you I'm fabulous because it makes me smile and it makes you smile. Try
Yep,
it on somebody. It's kind of fun.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you. We're wrapping up another fantastic podcast. We'll just
Yes,
be
we are. Hopefully you like it as much as we do. We always get off and we're like, that was a good one.
Uh-huh.
Hopefully you're feeling the same way.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Princess Way.
Forrest Gump way.